Hi, everybody. It's Kristel David, your host for the Keep the Spark Alive Summit. And I'm so excited to be here today with Shah Zareef, the amazing brains and beauty, or one of the amazing brains and beauties behind Boss Mom Nation. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of it. It's just an amazing platform. And it's actually how I got to come in contact with her. And so you guys can check out her amazing bio in the email, but I just want to jump into getting to know you, Shah. So tell us a little bit about who you are as a woman, what roles do you wear, hats do you wear, and just a little bit about you.
Well, hello. I'm super excited. I feel like we've been planning to have this moment for a while now, right?
Yeah, for a long time.
So it's finally here. But my name is Shahida. Friends call me Shah, so you'll hear that a lot. And I am a mother of four, a wife, been married for 12 years. We just reached our 12-year anniversary a month ago. So still kind of celebrating that. Um, yeah, mother, wife. I am a co-founder of Boss Mom Nation, as Kristel mentioned. It is a platform for mothers to connect, share stories, be inspired, and just be in a place where you feel like you can be honest about your journey through motherhood. Not the not so pretty parts, the pretty parts, all of it as a whole. Shahida, as a woman right now, I feel like I'm coming to a place in my development as a woman where I've never been before. Like, you get to places where you feel like it's a new level of womanhood, and that's a place that I'm in right now. I'm getting ready to turn 35, and I feel like it's like a rebirth of all of the things that I've been pouring into myself. They're finally flourishing. So I'm looking to be able to share that into Boss Mom Nation and be able to pour what I've been pouring into myself into my community. So yeah, that's a good little intro.
Oh, yeah, I love it. And it's interesting because I was just talking to another mom who has 5 kids and she's going on her sixth. And I was telling her, I'm like, I know. And I'm like, see, it's interesting where I'm going for my mentorship because not a lot of people now in our group of people are having 4 or 5 plus
Yeah.
kids. So it is that is an area that I wanted to just highlight of um, one of the big things that we want women to take away from this summit is that they can feel like they can have it all, if you will. They can be that wife, they can be that mom of 4, 1, 2, 10, however many you want, and they can have a business or a passion or hobbies that they take part in. So will you kind of touch on that and I do want to preface this with, you had did a podcast probably years ago now that I listened to, and that was when I adopted my like, it put words to my mindset that there's no such thing as balance.
Right.
I remember you saying that, like, there really is no balance, and I'm like, that's exactly how I feel. It's like we're always we use the word, but it's like it doesn't exist.
It
So
doesn't.
I coined that from you in the interview you did, but will you speak on that? How are you, quote unquote, balancing or lack thereof? How would you describe, how does your life look managing all these different roles that you're mentioning?
Right. Yes, I remember that. I like to think of it as having a flow opposed to a balance, right? Because a flow sounds even better than the balance, right? Because you're like, a balance feels like so much work, even though it is work. But when we shift our perspective to think of it like, let me just figure out a flow. And sometimes the flow has to change. So I think that within having the role as a wife, as a mother, and still making sure that I keep myself in that mix, right? I have to just make sure that I'm always having my I's dotted and my T's crossed. So I'm having an organized structure, but understanding that some things may have to tweak and change along the way. So, like, going into having a fourth child, my life had to get a lot more organized, even from meal planning to having snacks for the kids after school, having lunch made for my husband so that he's not eating crap while he's out during the day. So it's like I have all these things that I want to cover, and they only happen with pre-planning things, right? And sometimes something doesn't get planned, and it's fine. So I've adapted this mindset of just flowing with things opposed to feeling that I had to balance them all. But having an organized plan has definitely helped me. Knowing what I'm doing at the top of the week for who and what I'm going to have to do for myself so that I can give that. Like, for instance, there's a few things that I've incorporated that I just will not, I'm not lenient about when it comes to myself in order for me to be, you know, good for everybody. So like my husband, he leaves really early in the morning. So he's gone by the time I'm getting up to get the kids ready for school.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone. So he comes home around, let's say 6 o'clock, right? So when he comes home, I'm not like flooding him with, okay, you're here, I'm off, you're on. So I try to let him come in and ease in. But by a certain time, I'm like, we have to stick to our strict bedtime because when the kids are asleep, we have those few hours between our bedtime and the kids' bedtime that we can give attention to each other. I can give attention to myself, and we're able to fill each other up separately together so that we can go on with our roles, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, to answer the question, I would say having a structured plan, but being okay when things have to twist and turn and going with the flow.
I love that. And one of the things that I was thinking as you were saying that is I've been hearing this from so many different mentor circles and audios and things that I've been at, that like your plan is your boss. Like if you, so for everyone listening, I think a lot of people get caught up in like, oh, I just want to be more spontaneous. I want to be free spirited. And I think you can still be free spirited, but be controlled by like this plan, because like you said, I don't know one person that I've talked to who's managing all of these things who doesn't have a strict guideline to how their life is flowing, and then that guideline is allowing them almost to have more freedom because they
Absolutely.
like you're preparing to use your time so strictly that you have more of it almost, if that makes
Absolutely. And even with my children, like I'm really trying to encourage them and teach them to be mindful of time. Like when I'm like, okay, well, right now we got home from school, so now you have an hour. It's 4 o'clock. So at 5 o'clock, we're switching gears, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to start getting ready for the next day. Then we pull the homework out. Then we'll have our reading time. And then I'm like checking in with them. Oh, it's 6:30. We're getting closer to dinner time, keeping them on track so they understand like we have to handle our business so that we can be on track for the day. We as a team, a collective, because if I let them just run around and then they end up fighting over things, or this isn't clean, and then we're looking up and it's 8 o'clock, 30 minutes till bedtime, and we haven't handled our business. So we make it, me and my husband make it a collective mindset and being mindful of how we spend our time and what we have to accomplish before the end of the night so that we can start our day off smoothly the next day. And on weekends, we're way more relaxed, but the week is like,
yeah, yeah.
you know,
I love that. I love just hearing how other people are operating. And so amidst all of those things that you're doing and handling, what are some of the things that are non-negotiable that you
yes,
just
that's what I was going to mention. I was supposed to be getting to that, right?
yeah,
So like
touched on?
when I am really, really into bath time for myself, right? Even if I've like, even if I shower the day, like my husband was even teasing me the other day. He's like, you just took a shower last night. Now you're taking a bath again. And I'm like, dude, when I take a bath, it's not just to clean my body. It's to relax and to really just be, because when you're in the bath, you have no choice but to just sit there, right? And being able to sit there, whether it's read, whether it's I want to listen to an album of some amazing music that I haven't got to sit through, whether it's listen to a podcast, but that's my time where I will spend a solid hour not being bothered. Don't knock on the door. Don't bother me. Don't ask me a question. The whole house knows that when mommy's having a bath, she's like, basically she's not here.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of strictly if not every day, every other day, I make sure that I have I set my candles, I set the entire mood and the tone, and I just zone out to whatever it is that I feel like I want to focus on, but I didn't get the mental space throughout the day. Because, you know, you have things that you want to even just think about, not even necessarily not something you want to do, but you want to be able to have a moment to have free space in your mind to think about something, right? And just think about that only.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds simple, but it's a luxury for us, right? When you have multiple children and a husband, like, to keep your mind focused on one thing is not always possible.
Yeah.
So me having my bath time, I treat it as a ritual, and I really make good use of it. So that's one of the things that I really, really, really have been sticking to, and it makes a difference in my entire mood. And getting up early. I have to wake before my children wake. They cannot wake me up, you know. And we homeschooled last year. So it was, even within that structure, we weren't getting up and having to be at school at a certain time, but I still made sure that I woke up before them so that I could be in the space and the mood I wanted to be in before they hit me with all the, you know, children can wake up in a bad mood or a good mood, or one person is feeling this way, and you have to be able to manage all that. So I feel like waking up early to pour into myself has made a huge difference in me being able to be present the way that I want to be for everybody.
Yeah. So I want to set a challenge based on you saying that, because I know I have that too. Like, the other day I locked my door, and then when I finally came out of the room, they're like, "Why did you lock your door?" I'm like, first of all, it's my door.
Right.
It was like I had to have that conversation. Like, there's times where mommy just is not available. Or my new thing is, like, my oldest one is starting to stay up a little bit later now because she has more homework and she's in her sports or whatever. And I'm like, that's fine, but you're still praying with everybody at 8 when they all go to bed. So then it's almost like I clock out at 8 no matter what.
Yes.
Like, you're still up, but if you need water, go get your own water. If you
Yes.
you know, if you need something, like, you handle that on your own, because I'm already off the clock. So I'm
Yes.
all the moms, especially watching this, to find a non-negotiable hour or even 30 minutes in your time, because what I'm hearing you say is that's just so important. I think we all have that, and I know there are moms out there that don't shut themselves off to their kids, and then that's when you're just like completely, I don't know how you do it, I don't know how this anything, because I don't know how you do it, I don't know how you don't shut yourself off at some
Yes.
point. I want to just use what you're saying to encourage everybody listening to this to just give yourself a non-negotiable, even if it's 10 minutes that you lock yourself in the bathroom or whatever.
Something.
Yeah. So
And then that helps our children. Our children have to grow up and to respect the boundaries of mommy. Because I think that when they see us, they just think of us as like the holy grail, like everything that they need and want, they get from us, and we can be spot on for them at the drop of a dime, and we're just there to give, give, give. And it's an innocent mindset for them as children. So we have to let them know, like, okay, you notice that I'm always on call for you. I'm doing all these things. Mommy's always doing things for everyone else. So mommy has to have this time. Like, it's not negotiable. And they get that. As long as we communicate it, they get it. Sometimes we have to communicate it over and over again, but that's just that.
I love it. So I love that aspect. So one of the things I was laughing at when you were saying preparing this, like, stuff for your husband to eat, I know there was a period in time for me too where it was like my husband was just neglected. Like, he's like, "Babe, I gotta eat. Like, I'm hungry," and I'll be looking like, "Then eat, feed yourself." But then I'll be like, "Okay. Like, I get it." So how do you and your husband keep each other as priorities, and what are some of the things that you guys do to kind of keep that presence of not
Spark going.
each other? Yeah.
Right. Well, okay, so my husband's, I would almost say he's a workaholic. I don't want to say, not in a bad sense, but he's just at a time, in his company that he owns a plumbing company, and he still works in it, like in the field. So he has a really good family that helps him on the business side of it in the office and everything, but he's out in the field working, and he's such a workhorse. So I have to always, like, tap him on the shoulder, like, "Come on back. remember, you and we got a date night this week. You can't tell me that you got to work a little longer. Like, whatever happens, we have to have this moment. So with my husband, I have to remind him often, because he's such in the work hard, provide, get my family to the next level stage. So it's like work, work, work for him. So he's not in a place where he's the one like, hey, yeah, remember we got plans this weekend. I'm always reminding him. So it works though, because it brings him back down to remember that although as our family has grown, it's been growing, and he has been providing and working really hard and giving us, the life that we need to continue to grow. He knows that he needs to be reminded that we have to continuously cultivate just our relationship, separate from the responsibility that he has to take care of himself and us, right?
Yeah.
And that's why, once again, the bedtime is important, because that's kind of like those are prime hours for he and I, because he leaves really early. One thing is I wake up early with him, so we have morning time together before he leaves. We talk quite a few times throughout the day. And then when he comes home, if we miss bedtime, he's really tired too. So if I don't get the kids, if we don't stay on track, then he'll be like, hey, I'm just going to bed. And it'll be like wild, and we won't get our time. Right. So, but we've been really consistent with our schedules to fit our time together, to the point where when we fall off, we're able to bring it back fast enough, because we're so used to having those moments of time together. When we don't, we're like, wait, where are you? I haven't talked to you. How you doing? We're just in passing. So the morning routine has been really working for us, and we've been consistent with that. And then when he comes home, what we do together as a family while the kids are awake, we spend our time like that. And then when the children go to sleep, then we have a couple of hours until we go to sleep or whatever too.
I love one of the things that I'm hearing that I think is really cool and should be highlighted is that you're not being like, oh, you forget about date night and you're not taking me on a date. You're just communicating that and like, one, showing so much gratitude to your husband. Like, look, you're working hard for us, but let me just bring you back. Versus like, and I'm speaking from a personal like growth experience. Like, that would have been me. Like, well, I probably would have just got bitter. Like, well, you weren't taking me on a date night, so I just got into my work too, and we're just gonna go ahead and forget about that. But it's so important. So I love that you have that grace to just communicate versus to just think he's gonna expect, because in his head he's doing his best because he's taking care of you guys.
Absolutely. But it took me a while to get to this place. I was not always in this.
Because I think
yes,
probably someone who's not there. I know.
Yes. No, it took time, because and I only got to this place when I started to realize that, we all know men speak a different language. And just like you said, to him, he's taking care of me. I'm well taken care of. I don't have to think about anything for my well-being for the most part. You know what I'm saying? He's handling everything for our family. But at the same time, they don't necessarily think about just the personal needs, just what I need for myself, not as the unit, the family, right? Men don't always think about that. And we have to, once we understand that, then we can learn how to communicate better. I'm reading this book, and it is like amazing. It's called How to Speak So Your Husband Will Listen. And it really just breaks down how we have to understand what our men are thinking, and that they're not thinking about things the way that we are. And the more we understand what our role is, then we can like gracefully like lead them. Like they need the help to understand what our needs are and how to give them to us. So once we realize like, okay, he'll follow as long as I lead him the right way. Then you just have to have the patience and being consistent and like tapping him on the shoulder. Like I say, like, okay, we're getting a little off track. Let's bring it back. And as long as you have a husband or a partner who's fine with being reminded, then it's all good. And but I used to be in a place where I would just shut off, and I'm like, okay, well, since he's not making a big deal about spending time, then I'm just gonna go and focus on what I want to do personally. And then that would always end up in a and an explosion when we both get really done with that, because that doesn't work, right? So so yeah, I think I've just gotten more into understanding what my role is as a partner for him, to help him I have to help him be a better husband. He's not going to be it by himself. He doesn't know how.
Right.
So I've recognized the role that I have to play in his growth as a husband, for me, fulfilling my needs. So I'm just gracefully trying to play it.
I love that. I think that's so amazing. So, I want to just hear for you, how do you define sexy? What does that look like to you?
That's a good question. Sexy for me, when I think about what I would want my husband to consider sexy about me, it has nothing to do with how I look. It has more to do with, I would say, what it is that I bring to his life, that let's say, let me see a good way to put it. Like, for instance, I feel like I'm most sexy when I am taking the time to engage with our children, opposed to pushing them off when they're getting on my nerves. So, like, for instance, I could very well be that mom that's like, hey, you go sending everybody to their room, cursing and fussing, because they can bring you to that place. But when I feel like I'm working to be like, give my children my best self, I feel like that's what I want my husband to see sexy for me, because he's out of the home more than I am.
Right.
So not only have I birthed these 4 children for him, I'm giving them the best of me. So he can see the reward. The um he can see the proof, the result of that, right? And it's nothing like a man being able to have a wife and a family, and an admirable wife and family and children. But I'm the one who's putting in the most work in that category right now. So I think that that's the sexiest thing about me. The fact that I'm a wife that's in the house and I'm raising our children, and I'm putting a lot into raising them, in the sense of how serious we're taking education, in the sense of how I'm teaching them about character, all of these things that I am just really drilling and consistently giving to them. I think that's the sexiest thing about me as a wife, as a mother. So as a wife, I would say the fact that I consistently try, keyword try, to separate me as a mother, as the mother of his children, and then his wife, like 2 different things. I try to make sure that they are, both of those roles are separated, because before there were children, we were married when it was just us, and we didn't have children. And after a while, you can start to just kind of sit in the roles as parents together, opposed to just a married couple separated from the kids. And I like to keep that separation. And I think that I consistently share with him how important it is that I'm giving him what he needs, just as his wife, not as the mother of his children too.
That's good. That's good. That reminds me, the other night my daughter had a sleepover, and her friends both have cell phones and iPads and all that, and we don't even allow it in our daughter's room like after a certain hour. So he was like telling me to shut it down, and I was just like, oh, I don't want to be that parent. But then I just stepped up and I went in there and I was like, you guys need to get off your phones. Like, we don't do that. Like, just put them away. I'm like, and they're like, oh, my daughter's like, I'm so bored. I have nothing to do. I'm like, hello, you have 2 human beings in your room.
Right,
Like, if
right.
you're telling me right now that you're bored, then we don't need to do sleepovers anymore. We need to work on a lot of things. And so then that happened or whatever. When I came out, he like jumped on me and was like, who is this? Is that my wife? Like, he was like, so like, like he really, that was like sexy to him, because
Yes.
that's what he wants and for our kids. And a part of me just was like, oh, and he's like, man, babe, like, you don't understand, like, for you to be able to take a stand and not be the cool mom in that moment, that's cool. Like, that was sexy.
Yeah.
That's like exactly what you're saying. Like, and I think that's so cool, because I think a lot of times men, that is what they're looking at in us, and we don't even realize that. We think it has to be like the way we look or whatever, but it's just who we are. And
Yeah. Yeah. And it's and like men, like of course it doesn't take much for them to be like sexually aroused or attracted. I mean, I could be in my robe all day, hair kind of frazzled, and my husband will be on me as if I'm like dressed to the T, right? So that's why I feel like those aren't the things, how we look physically. Of course, our husbands will be physically attracted and sexually aroused and feel like we're sexy when we're all together, right? But I think that it goes beyond that so much that that's not the thing that's like at the top of the list, or that's not the highlight of the sexiness that we exude, because they see us from such a wide range, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So, how what would you add to just kind of leave us on like a something to take away and apply right away of just offering your best to the audience watching of just how to have it all, how to be that wife and mom and businesswoman. And not everybody has all three of those or even
Hmm.
one of those, but I think as women we're all going to step into some aspect of that
Yes.
at some point. So what would be like your, your secret sauce that you would leave us with, or anything that we haven't covered that you want to share?
Okay. So one thing I would say is we have to own our own glow. I'm reading Latham Thomas' book, Own Your Glow. And it's been a really, it's one of the books, I've read many books, and it's one book that's like really changing me, changing my life a lot into just my perspective on me as a woman. And I think that when we can really be in tune with who we are and where we are in the moment versus where we're still trying to grow and develop, then we can see where we can meet everyone else in our life, right? So we can't meet people, whether it's our children, our spouses, relationships, friends. We have to know where we are and know what more we need to pour into ourselves to be able to give more. So, like, for instance, if I'm like, okay, I want to be a better wife, or I want my husband to be a better husband to me, then I have to work on me first. But first, I have to address what is working on me. What areas do I need more of this in? What areas do I need to focus on more? So I think really acknowledging where you need to take a shift as a woman, and then really slowing down to make that shift. Because I think that when we're like hustling or always trying to be somewhere else or something else, then we don't really like marinate and take a slow ride to those goals or to these new habits that we're trying to have. I really think that it's good to slow down as a woman, figure out where you are, what you need, and then you can start pouring more and more into, different people and passions in your life. And what else would I like to say? Oh, another thing, I think when it comes to relationship and marriage, we have to always be willing to continue to work. It's always going to be work. Even when you get, me and my husband have been married for 12 years, and to me that sounds like a long time, 12 years, but it doesn't feel like that long. So in my mind, I think, wow, it took us 12 years to get here.
Right.
Like, it was some things that we had to work on for a long time before I felt like, oh, it's finally clicked. We're both on the same wavelengths when it comes to this. And it seems like it may have taken a while to get there. So it's like, be ready for the long haul. Be ready for something else to come up that you're going to have to slowly take your time to get there, and just really be willing to put in the work and keep your expectations low. I think sometimes we expect people to do so much or know so much, even our husbands, but we don't need to operate in expectations. We need to show people how we want them to treat us. I don't care if you've been married to your husband for 20 years. Continue to show him how you want him to cultivate your marriage and your bond together. So, first, figure out where you are, what you need to be your better self day after day, month after month, year after year. And then you can know what you have to share and give to your family. And then just always be patient and willing to give more than you receive.
Oh, that's so good. I love it. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. So tell us, where can we get more doses of you? Where can we connect with you?
Yes.
Yes.
So you can find me on my personal page. Instagram is Boss Mom Shah, Boss Mom _ Shah, SHAH. And you can find my community page, Boss Mom Nation. And also, if you go to Boss Mom Nation and subscribe to our site, we have something super cool that we're going to be dropping. That we're dropping called the Trill Checklist. So the Trill Checklist is a super fun, cool checklist that we feel like every mother needs to check off of her list on a daily. These are the things that you should be focusing on to just be honest about this motherhood journey and all that it's going to take from you. Trill Motherhood is like the motto for Boss Mom Nation. And Trill is at the intersection of true and real, which is all you can be as a mother, and your journey through motherhood. So we want you to get that Trill checklist. It's fun. It's funny. It's good. So you can get that from bossmomnation.com.
You guys have to go connect with them. That's how Shah and I got connected, just through that community. And you guys are just a breath of fresh air. Just
Thank you.
the realness, just that feeling of vulnerability, of kind of having something to aspire to and be inspired by, but not feeling like anybody's above. It's just an amazing community. So go cop that list. I can't wait to get mine, because I love everything you guys put out. So I'm excited to get
Thank you, Kristel.
amazing gift. And make sure you guys connect. And thank you so much for your time today and all your amazing nuggets. I learned a lot, and I'm excited to be able to give this to so many other people. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.